No breast, no nipple, and no censorship again. We're back with you. Day 3 of my Tenerife jaunt. Got a lot more to go through today. I've got 10 or 11 points, all relatively short ones. There's a fair bit of sport in there for those that don't like sport, but it's only an opinion on a couple of things, so they won't take too long to get through. And there are 2 or 3 serious bits and pieces in there. I've kept the glasses on because with there being so many points, I don't want to forget anything, and I'll read them from there as to what they are. But I've not done anything big on there. It's just the odd bullet points. I can freestyle it, as you know. I've been doing it for 4 or 5 months now, so that's what I'll carry on doing. Anyway, where should we start? Right, we'll start. We've got 10, 11 points, then I'll let you know a bit about my yesterday here for those that go to Tenerife or are likely to come in the near future. Right, number 1, how could I have forgotten him yesterday? Mike YARWOOD. Sadly passed away over the last couple of days, didn't he, Mike? I think he was in his early 80s. It's a strange one. I thought he died a few years ago. But then when I've read up on him today, I thought, oh no, I do remember seeing a couple of years since, there was something there saying he'd only recently gone in a care home. He took himself out of the limelight many years ago now. He was a guy that, believe it or not, suffered stage fright. He was one of the biggest entertainers the BBC's ever had. I know he's had some drink issues in the past. I think he was married for about 20 odd years, and he says drink got in the way of the marriage. But Mike YARWOOD, a brilliant entertainer. You know, he's from the golden era of BBC entertainment. I mean, you had YARWOOD, you had Eric and Ernie, you had the 2 Ronnies, dare I say Little and Large, Parkinson, the Generation Game with Bruce, and then with Old Shut That Door Larry. Great times, great stars. Yes, I read something today saying, I think YARWOOD, somebody was saying that he got a 21.5 million audience for one of his Christmas specials, I think in the late 70s. And it's only been bettered once since, and it's by one episode of Fools and Horses. Couldn't believe that, but I know he was massive in Great Britain at the time. Fantastic impressionist, sadly missed. So that's YARWOOD, gone, left us, done and dusted. We'll go now into the present. Yeah, yesterday there was a reasonably decent rugby league game on yesterday. I think it was Wigan against Leeds. I think Wigan battered Leeds by about 50 or 60 points. I'm told Leeds were awful, but I've not read much into it. But I've only brought it up because I noticed in the paper that I read today, there wasn't even one paragraph on the game, which is fine. You know, rugby league isn't covered as other sports are. But then we'll look at rugby union, and I noticed, what did it have? 10.5 pages on the Rugby Union World Cup yesterday. 10.5 pages, not one paragraph for rugby league. Somebody at rugby league's doing something wrong, because they've got to get the sport back in these newspapers. You know, it's not the newspaper's fault. It's the people that run rugby league. I don't care what anybody says. But yeah, I see England won yesterday. I didn't get the chance to watch it. Again, I think I was eating at the time. I'm eating a lot here, aren't I? Yeah, I do eat a lot. Yeah, I do enjoy eating when I'm away. Anyway, I never watched the game, although I do intend to pick up on them later in the comp. I believe they won and had a great win against Argentina because they did it with 1 man down. I believe they got a man sent off after 3 to 4 minutes. But I see the newspapers were raving about, what is it, young Ford? Is it Ford? I'm sure it's Ford. Yeah, George Ford. Yeah, from a rugby league family, old George. I think he got 3 drop goals and scored England's 27 points in a 27-something win. I can't remember the something, and I've not bothered to write it down because it's irrelevant. But I thought to myself, they're raving about old Georgie there for getting 3 drop goals. I thought, what will they do if he gets injured? Well, I've got an idea, folks. Have a look up a guy called Harry Pinner in St Helens. If he's still with us, and if he still lives in St Helens, get him on the field. If you need some drop goals, he's your man. He'll do it for you. Don't worry about that. He'll never let anybody down. And if you think George is good at the old drop goals, wait till you see some show reels of Harry Pinner's. He could drop them from anywhere. And I mean from anywhere. I've seen him drop them before from right underneath the sticks. He thought, no, we don't want to try. I'd rather get some points for a drop goal. And he'd do it from 5 yards away. Unbelievable. So if anything happens to George, go and call on Harry. He won't let you down, I promise you that. Right, where are we going next? We did Jordan Henderson. Yes, I see he played yesterday for England. I believe they were unconvincing in the 1-1 draw. I believe he was going to get some protest before the game. There weren't any, which is probably right not to be, really. But my thoughts on Endo was I heard something on the radio the other day and somebody was saying, oh, well, Henderson's friends, now if he's got friends that are gay, they can't even go to watch him in Saudi anymore because they could get locked up. I think they said if he's got any friends, I think the line should have been if he had any friends. Because any friends of his that are gay, I would imagine, would just cut ties with him straight away after what he's done. And rightly so. He shouldn't have gone there being so outspoken. But anyway, there was no protest, and that's probably a good thing. Who are we going to go to next? Let's turn that page over. Ooh. Yeah, Saudi Arabia, football again. Saudi Arabia, Costa Rica. I believe they played yesterday at St James's Park. Yeah, I read there was only a 5,000 crowd. I also read that the manager, the Saudi manager, Roberto Mancini's got the gig now, was told not to speak to the press, which is fantastic, isn't it? They're over here to try and to promote their game at their own home in Newcastle. The crowd was a flop, which I'm pleased about. And surprisingly, they tell the manager don't speak to the press. It comes on the back of, when you dig deeper, somebody has spoken to the press earlier this week, a lady called, I might get the pronunciation wrong if I do, please forgive me, Lina Al-Hathlul. Lina Al-Hathlul. She was saying earlier this week, her sister Lujane was arrested, tortured, sexually assaulted, and imprisoned. She's now out, but she's banned from travelling abroad. She can never leave the country, or not at the moment. Her crime, and wait to hear this, it's a real heinous crime, it's a really, really bad one. Yeah, her crime was she was campaigning for women to be allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia. So she's gone through imprisonment, torture, and sexual abuse for asking that her fellow women may be allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia. Well, make your own minds up on that one, folks. I just find it hard to understand and believe. I know we all have our different religions, different beliefs, but I don't get that. Neymar, you know Neymar, he used to play for PSG till they finally saw the light and got rid. Scored his 78th goal for Brazil over the weekend. He's surpassed Pele's old record. Pele was on 77. Neymar has said, he's a pretty grounded fellow, old Neymar, and very, very modest. Neymar has said, this does not mean that I am better than him. So he's not saying that he's better than Pele just because he's beat him by one goal. No, I think you're probably right in that assumption, Neymar. I think most would agree that you're probably not any better than Pele. Yeah, the saddest one I've got today, folks, even sadder than the last one, but upsetting and maddening, extremely maddening. You know the little girl, the young, is it SARA, SHARIF, who was killed, stroke, murdered by, was it a father, a stepdad and his brother? The ball's out on that one, sorry, the court's out on that one, if we ever get him to court, that is. Yeah, it turns out that the father spoke to his Pakistani-based English-based lawyer, and was told, the lawyer said, I can see you're really, really upset, and your 5 kids aged between 1 and 13 were absolutely terrified by seeing the young sister killed, dead, murdered. So the lawyer recommended that they get out of the country as soon as possible. He said, you need to run, you need to leave England. And these are his reasons behind it, viewers. Listen to this. This is unbelievable. If you stay in the UK, you will be mistreated for being Muslim. There will be a big scandal made against your religion, your faith. Run away, or you will lose all of your children. And if they take all your children off you, they will probably pass them on to those of other religions, possibly Jewish people. There must be a waiting list. There must be a waiting list, a Jewish waiting list, where they say, please, if anything goes wrong, send us your Muslim children. We want your Muslim children. No, me neither. Me neither. Why is there so much hatred with different races in this world? It's crazy. I mean, does any even-minded person, any person with any bit of knowledge at all, feel that he's going to be treated worse just because he's Muslim? No, not at all. Do we believe if he loses his children, they'll be sent to Jewish families? Why Jewish families? Not at all. It's just hate and more hatred, isn't it? And it's absolutely crazy. It just beggars belief. I, for one, believe, folks, and I might be wrong, I'm probably in the minority, but when they catch these people that have committed this crime, whether they've murdered her or not, and they possibly have, As we've been told, the police have found that she's got a multitude of injuries going back months and months and months. So she's obviously been abused and mistreated. There's no doubts about that. But when they bring them to trial, can somebody think of arresting this solicitor, lawyer, whatever he may be, and looking at trying him as well and banging him away, assuming it's him, because it doesn't say. I just think it's scandalous. The things he's said, the advice he's given, he needs arresting as well. We probably won't, because we're too soft, aren't we? That's us. We're really, really soft. But it's what should happen. Okay, where are we going from that? Anthony. Oh, Anthony, yeah, Manchester United's Anthony. I believe he's been stood down by mutual consent. I've heard that one before, mutual consent. It's what they do with managers when they leave the post. They do it by mutual consent. They get sacked, but to save the manager's face, they call it mutual consent. I would imagine this is the same with Anthony. I think United probably wanted to stand him down more than he wanted to be stood down. But it turns out now we've gone from one woman claiming he's abused them and committed violence towards them to now 3 women. Again, it's the old no smoke without fire. I mean, I hate to be a judge and jury, but are all 3 going to be lying? They might be, but I doubt it. I think Anthony spoke on Brazilian TV, I think on Friday. He said, I'm 100% certain I've never ever assaulted any of these women. Not physically. I'm 100% certain. Well, that's 100%, but you'd say, I have never, ever, ever assaulted anyone. I have never, ever, ever assaulted anyone. You don't bring percentages into it. Crazy. Sarah, what's her name? Sarah PASCOE, that well-loved comedian. I barely know her, folks. I've seen her face, I barely know her. She says it's funny when billionaires die. It makes her laugh. She gets something out of it, she says. She thought it was really great when the submersible blew up under the sea going to look at the Titanic. She said, I just find it great that some billionaires indulging in their passions and giving money as away on things like that when they can help the underprivileged. When they do these things and they die whilst doing them. There's a little bit of the sentiment. I know what she meant, a little bit. Not them dying, but could have done more with their money. I get that. But you're happy when they die, Sarah? I think that's going to lose her a lot of fans and get in a lot of trouble. All I would say to that is your typical Sarah of many that put out quotes like that, because I see you've removed your posting from social media. You've put it on there. There's been a bit of an outcry and you've pulled it down. Well, if you're really happy when billionaires die, why don't you just leave it on there? Why don't you be brave enough to back up your convictions, and just leave it there for those others to see? That's what I thought anyway. I might be wrong. By the way, Anthony, just as a quick one for you. As I say, Anthony there, 3 women, been with us, a year now? 3 women come on board. He's no doubt not far from being down the road. That comes at the same week that 50 years ago this week is when George Best was introduced to Manchester United. Played his first game for us. I wish we had him now rather than old Anthony. Right, that's about it. I think I've covered virtually everything. I think I have. 2 things. I'll do something quickly on the rugby league game today. Do you know I like the rugby league and we have a few followers. Watch the Warrington-Salford game today. I should say Salford-Warrington because it was at Salford. Warrington weren't great. I think it was a toothless Salford. We should have beat them easily. We didn't. They tried hard. We had more pace. I think we're the better team. It's a game we should have won and didn't. It was just down to error. A few bad decisions and the inability still when we're on someone's 20-yard line to fashion an opening and put the ball over the line. We've been like that for 18 months now. We seem very, very toothless near the line. 2 points from the game and they both concern Matt Duffy. Firstly, I did not mind that silly kick that he did from beneath his sticks when we get to the last minute of the game. He knocked on, they should have won from there, Salford didn't do, but I thought it was wonderful invention and he was unlucky, and I like to see invention. And the reason I won't knock the guy is the try that George Williams scored earlier. What Duffy did there was sensational. The offload was out of this world. It was the high point of the game without a shadow of a doubt. Absolutely brilliant. And Williams finished it extremely well, took the ball well and finished it well. And the funniest part of the game was Singleton, when he had that brain implosion under Warrington sticks at the end, when he pushed Duffy over with all the force in the world, and as soon as he did it and he lost the penalty, he held his head and said, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done? And he really couldn't believe he'd done it. And I got what they say now about people in the height of a sports game and adrenaline flowing. You know, I think on the first or second tackle, there's every likelihood they're going to go over the line or get a drop goal. And on the first or second tackle, he pushes a guy over. And it's 6-us. It was crazy. Crazy. Right, lastly, what have we done here? Well, we're on day 3 at Tenerife. We've done 2 days now. Yesterday, the video was out before I went out yesterday. Yesterday, we went out and we seen a guy I'd wanted to see for about 10 months. I keep wanting to say Michael J. Levy. I think it's on the back of Michael J. Fox. It's actual Michael Levy Jr. For those that have ever come to Tenerife and watched him, you'll know what I'm going to say about him in a moment. If you come to Tenerife, or you're going to, or you've been before, and are coming shortly, please go and see this guy. If ever a guy deserves an audience, it's this guy. He plays at a bar called the Calypso, and he plays on a Saturday afternoon between about 3 and 6. I think he did yesterday about 3:30 till about 20 to 7, and he had a 10-minute break. The guy is sensational. I seen something about him on a YouTube channel with one of the Tenerife vloggers about 6 or 8 months ago. He was saying he's had some massive mental health problems. I felt really, really sorry for him as I watched it, but I come away thinking, I really like this guy. I just like his honesty, liked everything about him. And his issues are, he's had some health issues, but they're not major. His biggest issue is in his head, I think, and I think he admits to that. And he says, I go to bed on a nightly basis and struggle to sleep, because I think I'm not going to wake up in the morning. And he says, I've had it for like months and months now, or even a couple of years, he said. And it's an awful thing, he said. And I know deep down I'm going to be okay, but there's something in the back of my mind saying I'm not going to be here tomorrow. And he said, being as though I've got a wife whom I love and some kiddies, he said, it worries me to death. He said, now when I'm on stage performing, I forget it completely. But most of the daytime I'm thinking these awful and bad thoughts. Anyway, he performed yesterday, he did half his show, and at half time, I managed to go over and say hello to him. I said I'd watch the thing. I said, look, I heard the thing you did, I said, and I felt really, really sorry for you, but at the same time, really liked you. I said, I've wanted to see you for about 10 months because I've seen a couple of videos on that old YouTube. I said, and before seeing you today, I thought there was only one real top-notch vocalist on this island. I mean, there's some great vocalists, male and female, but for me, there's a girl called Shelley who's head and shoulders above everybody. I thought that until yesterday. Seeing this Michael J. Levy yesterday, he's up there with it. He's absolutely phenomenal. There's a few on the island they rave about. There's a guy, is it Frankie Mac, I think he does all the swing stuff, and then he's a decent performer, he's a decent actor to watch. But for all, he's the guy that gets all the plaudits on the island. This Michael Levy Jr. is like, he's in a different parish, a different postcode to that guy. He's absolutely brilliant. He did about 2.5 hours, 2 3/4 hours, folks, in 2 sets. The first set was all his own stuff. The second set was audience requests. I've never seen anybody do that long and not do one bad song. And when I'm saying one bad song, I mean not one bad song. He was absolutely faultless. He was brilliant. Does a lot of soul, northern soul, that kind of stuff, but brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Those that have watched him will know I'm preaching to the converted, but those that haven't, you must go and see him. He's on a place called the Calypso Bar. They do regular afternoon shows. I think they do 5 afternoons a week. There won't be one that beats that. That's on a Saturday afternoon, and as I say, he does about 3 hours. It's always advisable to book your table because you can't get in there. But watched him yesterday, just brilliant. Well, he's that good. We've got a couple of friends coming up here this Thursday, and we're back again next Saturday to watch him, the 4 of us. That's without a doubt. And if it did the same sets and the same song, one after the other, and never changed his set, it wouldn't bother me one iota. It was that good. Now we're off for a late Sunday lunch, a late one. We go to a place called the Winning Post. It's a Sunday. It's brilliant. For those that go to Tenerife that like a Sunday lunch, try there. Virtually nobody goes. It's out of the way. Nobody knows about it. I've mentioned it before about when the channel first started about 4 months ago. We went there last year. It was out of this world. We went to one that all the vloggers, the YouTube vloggers from Tenerife rave about, that has a few stars going. We're seeing, was it Wayne, not stars, but Wayne Lineker's brother was in there. He's a mover and shaker around here. Billy Porter, the Scottish comedian, he was in there as well with a couple of people called, what's it called? Hemingways. And it was really good. It was really, really good. It wasn't anywhere near as good as this Winning Post. This is the best Sunday lunch I've had abroad. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm on my way out for it now. We've just finished watching the Warrington game. It is a late lunch, like I said. And that's it. So that's it for me for today. Have a great day, one and all, and I'll see you all tomorrow.